On today's Newsmakers, a woman's shocking arrest for prayer, an actor's miracle survival, and the growth of Satanist after-school clubs. That and more coming up. Welcome to Newsmakers, a show where we go behind the headlines each week to bring you interviews with pastors, entertainers, politicians, and other notable figures. On today's Newsmakers, we begin with Isabel Vaughan Spruce. She's the co-director of the March for Life UK, and she recently made international headlines after she was twice arrested for silently praying outside of an abortion clinic. Isabel joins us to share her shocking story. Isabel, your story has been international. It has gone viral repeatedly. You have now had 3 run-ins with law enforcement over silently praying outside of abortion clinics, but in these buffer zones, and we'll get into all of that. But tell us about this latest issue that you had just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, so as you say, this comes off the back of being arrested, being acquitted of that. Having gone to court. But the most recent time was simply just standing again near the abortion centre, silently saying my prayers, not holding any posters or leaflets, not engaging with anyone in any way. And the police came and told me that they were going to issue me with a fixed penalty notice if I didn't move outside the zone. Obviously, I told them that I didn't believe I needed to, because all I was doing was silently praying. And so they gave me with the ticket, which I was later told if I came again, I would get a fixed penalty notice. So that seems to be saying that this time I haven't had one, even though they gave me a ticket at the time. But again, it's just really, really confusing. The messages I'm getting from the police, you know, to be going to court, to be acquitted, to having an email from them saying they're dropping charges, and now coming out again. It's actually quite intimidating.
Well, why do you think that, Isabel, they keep doing this? I mean, you've had, as you said, you've been acquitted twice, you've been arrested, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And there was even a senior official in the UK who said, you know what, it's not illegal to be praying silently. So it seems like this should not be a thing, and yet it becomes a thing again and again. Why do you think they keep targeting you? I mean, it feels like they must know who you are. This has gone viral. It's not like they don't know who you are. So why do you think this continues to happen to you?
Yeah, you're quite right. Our own Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, made it clear to the police forces that silent prayer is not a crime. And yet I do feel that certainly the local police where I am are more ideologically or politically driven, rather than focusing on actually just ensuring that the law is adhered to. And I know that they are quite possibly under pressure from locals in the area, some of them who very much have a different, ideological perspective, and the abortion provider, who I know, contacts the police. But they shouldn't be at the beck and call of any particular group. They are there to, like I say, just be there to ensure that the law is enforced. But sadly, I do think that some of them are being more driven by their own ideologies, and this is becoming, quite evident in the way that they're policing at the moment, which is again very, very concerning, that and quite discriminatory. That because my silent prayers are directed towards God, that they're going to try and move me on. That is effectively religious discrimination, and we know that is the issue, because they were specifically saying, are you praying? What were you praying about? Like it's anyone else's business what's going on inside my head and who my prayers are for. It's just outrageous that the police are asking these questions.
Well, I know there was one officer who said to you, I have the quote in front of me, you've said you've been engaging in prayer, which is the offense. And that was, I think, the second time that you had dealt, with this. And so they have flat out said this to you. Lois, I want to turn to you for a moment here, because ADF UK has been working on these cases, and Isabel is not the only person who has faced this, who has come under scrutiny, been arrested, or had to go to court over silently praying outside of these clinics. Can you explain to people what these buffer zones are and why this is considered even, criminal behavior in the minds of some of these officers?
Sure, yeah, you might think that these stories come from 1984, but no, we are, in fact, in the UK in 2023. Now, the legislation or the local ordinances that we have been dealing with so far have been put in place by councils in small town areas, and they typically ban an area of a few streets or several streets that surround an abortion facility. Now, they were advocated as part of a plan to reduce harassment against women. And ADF and Isabel and everybody who's involved in this absolutely condemns harassment against women in any circumstance. But unfortunately, the legislation is so vaguely worded and confusing and broad that it even bans offering help to somebody, offering a leaflet, offering charitable support, praying. And now we're to understand that officers are even interpreting this as to apply to silent prayer. Of course, we all know that freedom of thought is protected in international law as well as domestic law, which is why these cases again and again are hitting the courts because freedom of thought is absolute. And we're pleased that Isabel has been acquitted now twice in court, and a third time the fine was not followed through. But we need urgent clarity from the government to say and to spell out that this cannot keep happening and that silent prayer is not a crime. So Braverman has said this before, but we need this to be drafted into guidance as people are interpreting the law as an official source.
Isabel, any final comments from you on this? Because you're the one who's been dealing with the brunt of it and speaking out boldly.
Well, it is a really sad situation, but I think maybe it is a reminder of how powerful our prayers are. I'm only doing what I've been doing for about 20 years, you know, praying for women in these very difficult situations. And I know many, many women who've been really, really grateful for that, whether they've continued with their abortion or not. It's been a very difficult day for them, and they've appreciated somebody being there who genuinely cares about them. And maybe, as I say, it's a reminder of how far our prayers go and how much that they do work, that there is such an uproar about this. People recognize that prayer does have an impact.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming on, and we'll have you back as this continues to develop. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
This was just one of the recent arrests that we've been covering as the troubling trend of punishing prayer and religious expression continues. We'll plan to stay on top of these reports as they unfold. And up next, we'll talk with an actor who survived a near-death experience. This is Newsmakers on the CBN News Channel.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel, now available at cbnradio.com.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs, from health to entertainment, you won't find anywhere else. CBN News, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. CBN News, because truth matters. Download the app today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back to Newsmakers on the CBN News Channel. Our next guest is actor Jesse Hutch. He's the star of Great American Families, A Christmas Blessing. He's going to share his miraculous recovery after a shocking near-death experience, and it's a pretty incredible healing that he believes came from God. With no further ado, let's welcome Jesse to the show. Jesse, you've got a new film, A Christmas Blessing. It's out on Great American Pureflix. Tell us a little bit about this movie.
Well, this is the first film where I am not the romantic lead. And believe it or not, that's actually pretty exciting and pretty cool. So I know most people are like, what do you mean? But trust me, it's a really cool film about just helping others. And every character goes through sort of a life of giving, receiving, listening, and my character, especially Otto, which is spelled the same forward as it is backwards, is a very unique character who helps usher kind of every character along towards discovering kind of their own life and the choices that I think they want to make. You know, it's not forced, it's not pressured, but it's this really cool kind of Christmas cheer mixed with just really helping others and thinking of others and allowing yourself to be changed by that transformation.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. And as you were saying, you're excited because it's a little different from some of the other projects that you have worked on. You've been in Hollywood a long time. You've been working in entertainment for quite a while. What was your journey into Hollywood?
Yeah, you're right. I think I'm just coming into 24 years.
Wow.
Which kind of baffles my mind because I'm like, wait, what? Wow. Okay. I mean, my journey honestly has been kind of a trial and error, I'd say. If I had to sort of label it, you know, one thing, if that was the book title for my career, it'd probably be Trial and Error. So
I like that. That's a good book title, actually. You should keep that one in your bank.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really a mix of other people, I think, believing in me and seeing something even when I didn't. And then eventually there's this push-pull of me hearing what others are saying, feeling what I'm feeling, and then trying to take what I have on the inside and put it on the outside and see, does that line up? Like, do I even think that I'm doing what other people think I'm doing? And there's this kind of connection that happened eventually. And I just love telling stories. So the more I got into it, And now I've been writing. I'm about to go into production on a film that I actually wrote. It's a Christmas comedy. And I'm going to be directing it, and I'm also starring in it. So yes, I'm wearing a number of hats, but I'm kind of doing the Rocky Balboa. I feel like sometimes you just got to risk, and I found a bunch of other people that are willing to jump into the deep end with me, and I'm really excited to bring something that's really fun and comedic, yet heartfelt, and to the screens for people. So yeah, my journey's
awesome.
been like this, man. It's a roller coaster. There's no, like, I always joke, but it's partially true. I'm in the business where I can be completely replaced by the guy who started yesterday. So that keeps you on your toes. It keeps your head on a swivel, right? You got to stay focused. You can't just get lackadaisical and kind of float. You gotta want it. I mean, and you gotta hustle. You gotta work. And I like that.
How did you come to faith? I know that's a loaded question, but I'm curious, how long have you been a Christian? Like, what was sort of that process and journey for you?
Yeah, I mean, I originally started when I was 5 years old, believe it or not. I asked the Lord into my heart. You know, I said something called the Sinner's Prayer that people have sort of labeled that. That was with my grandmother when I was 5 years old at the foot of my bed. It had the 4 wooden posts. You know, I remember that. She gave me a children's Bible. I still have it to this day. It's got all the pictures in it, right? And that's how it started. And even at a young age, you know, eventually when I was 11, my parents divorced. That really impressed upon me some new perspective on life, which allowed me to explore my faith even deeper. I think as you age and you grow in life too, you start, you know, whether it's you get a driver's license, you start dating, you get a job, you know, eventually you're getting married, you know, you start having kids. I mean, I feel like faith has this built-in, God made it so we have this natural progression in life that if you pay attention, there's lessons just built in there, and there's love in there. You know, God loves you, and it comes out in all these life circumstances. that just come at you if you're still and you listen. And I didn't always hear it, but when I look back on my life, there was a definite hand that kept me out of trouble in many ways, and in some ways allowed me to get in just enough trouble to learn the lesson, but not walk away completely busted. And you know, I drowned when I was 21 years old. That was another miracle in my life that, I mean, I should be completely, honestly dead. I shouldn't have lived. And if I did, I shouldn't be able to speak. I shouldn't be able to hear. I shouldn't be able to walk. Like, I was underwater.
So now I need
11.
to ask. I need to know the details of this, because that's a big. You just dropped a big piece of information there. So what in the world happened?
I was a professional whitewater raft guide at the time. I was in the right place at the right time, and I was 5 years in. So, you know, I was a professional at this. It wasn't anything new, and it just circumstances all lined up, and I ended up underwater. They guesstimate anywhere from 11 to 22 minutes, and yeah, eventually somebody found me. They brought me back. They got me to the hospital. They put me in a pressure chamber, and I mean, I'm, you know, an actor. I walk and talk and breathe and chew bubble gum, and that shouldn't be happening. So again, just another reminder that God has his hand on my life, and there's a reason for it. And when I have those tough days, I got to go, man, God's got a purpose here.
What was your recovery like? You were without air, obviously, during this time. Like, how long did it take you to recover after that?
It is an absolute miracle, man. Like, weeks. Like, I was fine. Like, my eardrums didn't completely explode. They should have. They did. You know, they should have been wrecked. My vocal cords still have a few. You know, my voice will get really deep sometimes, and people are like, "Well, but I can't hear you. Like, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Man, my vocal cords just rub together. They have a bit of a shift." You know, there's a lot of pressure that happens. So, but hey, it's a blessing in my life, and it's part of my ministry. You know, part of me sharing, hey, there's something out there that's beyond, you know, science fiction here. This is supernatural.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you taking the time joining us today. Again, the film is a Christmas blessing. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.
You can catch Jesse on Great American Family and Great American Pure Flix today. His latest film is A Christmas Blessing. This is Newsmakers on the CBN News Channel. We'll be right back.
Too often we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone.
I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com to get your copy today.
Welcome back to Newsmakers on the CBN News Channel. For our final segment, we're sitting down with Moises Estevez, Executive Director of Child Evangelism Fellowship, to talk about how after-school Satan gatherings created to combat Christian clubs might actually be backfiring. Let's welcome him to Newsmakers. So I want to start with your after-school clubs. We'll get into that, but before we talk about the debate and the discussion around these after-school Satan clubs, which is a very interesting development over the past few years that we've seen continue to sort of grow. Child Evangelism Fellowship, you have some really amazing goals to reach 100 million kids each year. Tell us a little bit about your overarching work.
Well, thank you for having me. Yes, Child Evangelism Fellowship started in 1937. Today we have a work organized in the U.S., all states in the USA, 400 chapters, and then most nations of the world. We have about 3,500 full-time staff around the world and a variety of ministries. One of those ministries is the Good News Club, our weekly Good News Club. We teach the Bible to boys and girls every week during the school year. And we have about 80,000 of those around the world, and then many other ministries. In the last 5 years, of course, we had a slump during COVID because our ministry is a face-to-face ministry predominantly. And so we hit a slump during COVID. But in the last 5 years, we ministered to 100 million children. So we're accelerating a variety of ministries and strategies, and we want to be reaching 100 million children a year within the next 10 to 15 years.
Wow, that is an ambitious goal. And obviously the Good News Clubs, these are clubs that a lot of people are familiar with. But for those who aren't, take us through this, because some of these clubs, they meet in schools, right?
Correct. We work very closely with the local church. We partner with local churches for everything we do. A lot of our trainings happen in churches. But we have a special place in our hearts for unchurched children. Those are the 80% of the kids that don't step foot in church. And so to reach those, you got to go where they are. They're not in church. That's why they're called unchurched. And so we hold most of our clubs, like, for example, in the summer, 5-day clubs, in parks and daycares, you name it. And then during the school year, the Good News Clubs, we also have some in homes and so on. But most of them in the USA are in the public schools. The Good News Club is a high action, high energy, hour to an hour, 15 minutes. It has games and songs and memory verse and Bible lessons, sometimes a real life missionary story and so on and so forth. So it's very intense, a lot of fun. The kids love it. But they learn about the Lord. The gospel is shared. We make absolutely no changes to the gospel content just because we're in the public school. And so if you happen to be walking down the hallway after the last bell rings, you'll be hearing gospel songs being sung, and it's just a lot of fun.
So you have, obviously, your organization has been around for a long time. You have these clubs. They have been around for a long time. A few years ago, the Satanic Temple, they decided they were going to launch, and I don't know the exact year. I know this, I think, started around 2017, their own after-school clubs. The After-School Satan Club is what they call it. Let's talk about that a little bit. What do you think the impetus was? Why do you think they created these after-school clubs?
Well, at the time, actually, the whole effort was launched with an article, I believe, with the Washington Post in 2016, launched an article about these Satan clubs. That was kind of their debut, and they specifically choose schools. They pay no attention to schools where we don't have Good News Club, but they specifically choose schools where we have Good News Clubs, and they come and make a big splash with the media. They invite all the media to come, and basically their strategy is to shut down our clubs. And so they bring the media and they present themselves as, satanic, which gets everybody riled up. And so the parents get upset and the administrators get upset. And so the initial reaction is we can't let them in. And of course, that's what they want. They want to be pushed out, because once they're pushed out, they will actually use our victory that we had in the United States Supreme Court in 2001 to then turn around and file a lawsuit against the school to say, hey, we have the right to be there. And then the school, if the school still wants to push them out, they got to shut down all the after-school clubs. That's their strategy.
Has that been an effective strategy in terms of shutting any of your clubs down?
Not really. I mean, when this thing initially came out, it was a shock for everybody. There was some, I think 2 or 3 clubs in a particular school district in the East Coast that superintendent sort of overreacted and shut them down. But a month or 2 later, they were reopened. So really, it hasn't accomplished their goals to shut our clubs up. As a matter of fact, sometimes it does the opposite, because Christians that are not aware about the work we do in the public schools, they're not aware of Child Evangelism Fellowship, they go, hey, we like what you guys are doing. Can we help? So it helps us have more clubs.
Yeah, absolutely. The power in reaching the next generation. Appreciate you breaking it all down for us today.
Thank you for having me.
If you want to know more about Good News Clubs and how you can support Child Evangelism Fellowship, go to cefonline.com. We'll be right back.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible, yes, Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link. Tuesday morning at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
That's all for Newsmakers. Thank you for watching, and be sure to head over to the CBN News YouTube channel. That's where you can catch the full interviews you saw on today's episode. We'll see you all again very soon.